How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, Dale Carnegie. Who was Dale Carnegie? Well, he wrote the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you on a little bit of an epic adventure to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. Here we go. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. We're going to look at 5 key areas that come out of the incredible book that was written by Dale Carnegie. This book has sold millions all over the world. He was born in 1888, and he really was one of the forefathers, one of the pioneers in popular psychology. What is psychology? Well, it's all really about your being, and part of our being for so many people around the world is something called worrying. Now, have you ever worried about anything? Of course you have. It's part of the human experience. But you know what? So many people are really just unaware of what they're thinking and how it has actually affected them. So you know what? You really can change the way that you feel by changing the way that you think. And so much of the work that I do is really about helping people become aware of what is actually going on behind the scenes. And Dale Carnegie's work is so important. This book has touched the lives of so many people. And I just want to highlight some of the key things that he talks about. The first one is put a stop loss on something. So what is a stop loss? Well, it's a term that is known by people that work in the investing markets, that they can often see that a trend, that something is going up, and then all of a sudden they can see it going down, and they realize when it goes down, they put a stop loss on it, which is to stop it from losing any more than what it's currently losing. Now, what's this got to do with us? Look, the chances are you're not going to be able to ever stop yourself from worrying, but once you wake up to the fact and you recognize that it's going on, that is where you can apply the magic of actually stopping yourself, stopping it and going, okay, I'm not going to let this continue. One of the things that we do with many of the people we coach is we help them to become aware of this and really say something to them like, look, if you're going to worry, why not worry just for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, but not the rest of the day, not the whole week. Because if you're not careful, it can run away from you, those worries, and they really start to take over. You can change the way that you think. You can stop the worry. So the next time you notice it, the next time you become aware of it, say stop and do something else in that moment, because in any moment you have the opportunity to stop yourself going down that rabbit hole. So let's look at what he calls, it's interesting, I've got a magic wand in my hand, the magic formula. And it's becoming, once again, awareness. Awareness really is the absolute key, because we have thousands of thoughts every single day, and so many of those thoughts go into our body where we actually have a feeling. And if we're not careful, those feelings can convince us that we were actually right to have that thought. So his magic formula really is about, in first case, with the thing that you're worried about, think about what actually is the worst case scenario, even talking to someone about it. See, for so many human beings, there's so much going on inside us that we don't talk about it. We just keep it inside our mind. So talking about it, writing it down, and asking yourself that question, what actually is the worst case scenario? I remember when I really got involved in learning about Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan did something a little crazy. So after 3 years of becoming the best player in the league and 3 years of winning the league with the team he was playing for, the Chicago Bulls, he decided to stop and play baseball. And a lot of people thought he was crazy. And even he doubted himself a little bit. He worried about it. But you know what? He asked himself the question, what actually is the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen in his mind is, he said, well, I failed. It doesn't work out the way that I intended to. So if that's the worst case scenario for him, he still went ahead and did it because he felt he could live with that. So for you, what is the worst case scenario with the thing that you're worried about? And what he did is he accepted that and said, well, I'll accept that. I'll accept that if that can happen, but what can I do? Human beings often get very caught up in what is wrong, what is missing, what is wrong, what they can't do. This magic formula is so easy to do. It's also really easy not to do. So practice this. Just like anything in life, this comes through practice. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. If you start to always do this, you'll catch yourself really quickly, and you'll start to be able to focus much more on what you can do. Now, look, we have a mind, and one of the things that our minds do is, well, let me ask you, what's the nature of your mind? The nature of most people's minds is it's very active, and it plays tricks on us. Have you ever tried to go to sleep at night and you can't stop thinking about what you did that day or what you're doing tomorrow? Have you ever thought that someone was behind you and you've looked and there was no one there? Our minds play tricks on us, and unless we wake up to that fact, we will often be a victim, which is a big thing that Dale Carnegie talks about. Do you want to be a victim, or do you want to be someone who is empowered? To wake up and realize, look, these thoughts are always going to come and they're always going to go. They're going to go a lot quicker, especially if you start applying the magic formula, and especially if you start living for today. Now, we hear people say this, live for today. What does that actually mean? It means get yourself engrossed in whatever it is that you're doing, right? Whatever you're doing, see if you can focus your attention on what you're doing to the exclusion of everything else. Immerse yourself in the moment. And that's a challenge, right? It's probably more of a challenge than it's ever been. When he wrote this book, you know, a very long time ago, there was less information. There was less distraction that would take us away from what we focus on. But our brains are really only wired up to focus on one thing. We can focus on loads of things, but we end up not doing anything very well. We cannot really multitask effectively. So it's a very simple thing to do. It's also a very simple thing not to do. And ultimately, what I'm sharing with you here is about perspective, learning to look at things with a fresh pair of eyes. And ultimately, the most important thing you can ever look with a fresh pair of eyes is yourself. To look at that experience of yourself and realize you are more than your worries. Worry is still a process. There's something that's going on behind the scenes. And number 4 here in these 5 is mental attitude. And really, that's to be aware of your circumstances, the circumstances that you're actually in, and realize that these can change. Your thoughts can change. I mean, think about it. How many thoughts do you think you have in one day? I mean, it's estimated to be thousands of thoughts every single day. How many of the thoughts that you had yesterday will be similar to the thoughts that you have today? Probably most of them, unless you choose to move forwards in a different direction and you get busy building something. And this is what we do, and all of the work that we do, it's about helping people be enthusiastic about the possibilities that exist. What possibilities exist for you in your future? We've made so many videos in this YouTube channel covering loads of different subjects, but the majority of those subjects revolve around human behavior, human performance, and helping people get out of their own way. And one of the best ways to get out of your own way, is awareness. And we talk about the duck in our head, that voice that wants to keep us where we are, for us to survive. Because we really are designed to survive. We're not really designed to thrive. But in thriving, you have to start becoming aware of what's going on, because if you're worrying, if you're living in fear, it's very hard for you to move forwards, to be proactive in getting busy building. And one of the best things to build is something that makes a difference, not just to your life, but to the lives of others. You know, Dale